Hey beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Freeman and today I have a beautiful, slow and gentle and yummy sequence to help open into your hips and hamstrings. For today's video, we're just going to need a few props. So I'm going to be using a yoga strap. If you have a towel or a long piece of fabric, this will work just as well. Using a block, but if you do have even a Tupperware container or a book, something of around this size, that will still work perfectly for you. And then lastly, just a pillow. Any old pillow will do. Going to be holding each of these gentle stretches for 2 minutes, which is less than what we typically hold our stretches for in yin, but it's still a beautiful amount of time to help the muscles and fascia release and let go. If you enjoy the video, please remember to hit like and subscribe, but otherwise get yourself into something really nice and comfy, find a nice safe space for your mat, and I'll meet you there. So let's get started today by coming down onto our backs. You might want to place your pillow at the top of the mat to rest your head, or otherwise just laying straight back down is fine. And then once you're here, just placing the soles of the feet down to the ground, hands onto the belly for a moment. Just connect in with your breath here. Nothing else to do, nowhere else to be. Just taking next breath all the way down into your belly. And exhale through the mouth, sigh, let go, dissolving all tension here. From here, we're just going to take our left ankle onto our right thigh. We're going to continue to draw the toes back towards the knee, and this is our figure 4 stretch. We can stay here with the right foot on the ground. We're pressing that left knee forward. Or if you'd like, you can take hold behind the right thigh or in front of the right shin. So in this stretch, we're really feeling into the outer edge of that left hip, into our left glute. And wherever you are, I just want you to make sure that your shoulders, the back of the neck and the back of the head are still resting down and heavy here. And once you've settled and you've found the position that feels best for you, knowing that we're trying to find a space that feels comfortable enough that we could stay for the 2 minutes, that we can really still breathe and relax. I want you to start to pinpoint with your mind where it is that you're feeling the resistance in your body, where it is that you're feeling the stretch. And can you start to consciously take your breath to these spaces? Perhaps closing down the eyes if it feels good for you, taking your inhalations down and to and through any points of resistance in the body. And your exhalations, just soften you down and let that go. We have 30 more seconds here, so I'll leave time in each stretch just for yourself. Just for you to have a little bit of space and time. And last few conscious breaths here. Continuing to draw those toes back towards the knee. And last deep breath in. And then we're simply just going to change to the opposite side. So bringing your right ankle on the left thigh, and again, option to keep the left foot down, pressing the knee forward. Otherwise, drawing that thigh in, taking hold behind or in front of the shin. Again, remembering that positioning of our shoulders and the back of the head. Continuing to press the right knee forward and draw the toes back. And perhaps you'll notice a difference from side to side on each hip. And here, as we start to create sensation with the hips, just noticing if you have brought any tension to the chest, to the shoulders, even to the jaw or to the face. So you're just gently scanning your body and then taking your breath to wherever feels a little tight or stuck, and the exhalations, just letting it go. And we'll be here for less than 1 more minute. And I really like to practice without music. Sometimes it's really nice in such a stimulating world to just take half an hour like we're doing now to kind of cut the noise out. But you might like to put on some beautiful music, some of your favorite and relaxing music here in the background. Otherwise, maybe closing down the eyes and seeing what you can pinpoint just with your senses, the temperature of the room, any sounds in the space that you're in, becoming really aware of your surroundings. And we take one more deep breath in here. And as you exhale, bring the knees towards the chest. Take the knees wide towards the armpits. We're coming towards our happy baby, so option to stay here. Otherwise, keeping the entire length of the spine down on the ground, we can flex the soles of the feet towards the sky, taking hold of the shins or the ankles or perhaps the outer blades of the feet. And if you're noticing your tailbone is starting to curl up here, perhaps just walking the feet down a little bit lower. It doesn't matter where your hands land here. You might want to move a little bit from side to side just to kind of rinse out and find that comfortable space. And then settling and finding some stillness here. So again, softening the face and the chest. And you may be starting to feel sensation now through the back of the legs, the hamstrings or the inner thighs. Maybe still in the hips. Every body is different. And even our own bodies are different, day to day, morning to night, hour to hour. So in all of these stretches, we're not pushing or pressing at all. We're finding what I've heard being called the first layer of resistance. So it's kind of where you first are feeling the stretch. It's just enough that you wouldn't fall asleep, but it's not enough that you're kind of fighting with your body or fighting with your mind to stay there. So somewhere nice and comfortable is where we're trying to aim for in all of these poses today. Beautiful. And just a few last deep breaths here. Settle those shoulders. Breathing down into the belly. And then releasing, placing both feet down onto the ground. You're going to need your strap now, so just take a moment to find that. And once you have, you're going to extend the right foot up towards the ceiling and hook the strap under the balls of the foot. Beautiful. So here we're starting to work into the back of our right hamstring. And you have an option to take a strap with both hands or perhaps one hand, placing the left hand onto the hip. But I just want you to take a moment to have a look at your foot and noticing with your strap, are you pulling the inner edge or the outer edge of the foot in towards you more than the other? And can you even that out? Also, you might need to keep this knee bent, and that's totally fine here as well. If you have the ability, we can press the heel high and draw the toes back. And if this feels okay for you, we can even extend the left leg out towards the top of the mat. If you do extend this base leg though, make sure the supporting toe, the leg that is straight, that those toes are drawing back towards the knee as well. Both shoulder blades are down on the mat. Back of the head is resting on your pillow or the ground. And gently here. So we don't want to be feeling sensation in the back of the knee. If you are, just bend the knee a little bit. And just continue to draw those toes back towards you. And if you haven't already, just in the next few moments, bring your strap into your right hand and just take your left hand onto your left hip. And from here, we'll move in just a moment. And especially with our hamstrings, we can never pull on our body. Our forward folds and our hamstrings, they're an act of surrender. They're an act of bowing inwards to yourself. And we have to do that gently, patiently, and kindly. So from here, with our left hand on our hip, we're simply going to open the right leg out to the side. But here, making sure this left hip doesn't lift. If it does, we just stop exactly where it is before that hip starts to lift. Now I want you to think about continuing to turn the right thigh down so we have that external rotation through the right hip. And we're going to start to feel a little bit more into the inner thigh here. Some people might prefer to keep this left foot on the ground and also let the left knee fall out. So you can just play here, just making sure that your lower back hasn't lifted off the ground and we're arching. We're still nice and engaged and controlled here. And you'll simply find that comfortable spot, drawing the toes back towards you. If the base leg is extended, those toes are active as well. And then remembering to breathe. We'll have one more minute here. So finding your comfortable edge, somewhere that you can breathe. Your breath is your guide. If at any moment the breath starts to feel sharp and uncontrolled, you know you've pushed a little too far, come back. There's no competition here. Just working and enjoying your beautiful body as it is today. Soften the front of the chest. You might even be getting a nice workout through your right bicep here if you're like me. Holding that strap. And just a few last deep breaths in this pose. Checking in with the hips. Checking in with the knee, the toes. And let's take one more deep breath in and out. And gently bend the knee, draw it back to center. And we'll place the right foot on the ground, and we're simply going to change sides now. So taking your left leg extended high, wrapping the strap underneath the ball of the foot. Again, checking in with that draw of the inner and the outer edge of the foot. And then finding a position that feels comfortable for you. Either keeping this right foot grounded or extended out long, active through those right toes. And settle in here. Again, you can keep this knee nice and bent, or press the heel up and draw the toes back. But most importantly, we don't want to be feeling pulling or any kind of nervy sensation behind the knees. If that's happening, just bend the knee slightly. Remembering both shoulder blades are on the mat here. The back of the head, the back of the neck is soft. Notice what's going on in the face. Can you soften the space between your eyebrows, the cheeks, the jaw, the lips, and the teeth? Only working to that comfortable edge, so there should be no strain or fight in your body here today. Simply staying here for one more deep breath in. If it isn't already, taking your left hand to your strap, your right hand to your hip. And as you exhale, opening that left leg out towards the side. Remember, keeping the right hip grounded. We're going to externally rotate through our left leg, so turning the top of the thigh down towards the mat. And again, keeping both shoulder blades down. And then can we soften here? Maybe gently drawing the toes back towards your face. Oops, I'd forgotten about my base leg. You might have seen that. So continuing to draw the toes back. And what I mean by that is sometimes if we're not active and controlled here, we'll start to fall in like this. But if we're active and controlled through this base leg and we're aware of that right hip, we'll keep our hips nice and square, which protects our sacrum, which protects our lower back and keeps our hips aligned. So we are just going to be here for one more minute, guys. I'll let you have some silence now, maybe closing the eyes or just enjoying. Remember taking your breath to the sensation, breathing in fresh space. The exhalation will soften and release. And just 15 more seconds here, so perhaps starting to deepen the breath once more. Perhaps letting go of any last little bit that you can here. Staying for one last deep breath in and out. On your next inhalation, bend the knee, gently draw it back to center. Releasing your strap, we're going to make our way up into a seated position. So here you'll have an option. We're going to come into our butterfly position, bringing the soles of the feet together and the knees will fall out wide. If you're familiar and you know this pose, you know how it feels in your body, feel free to come forward. If you feel really tight in your hips here, you're going to sit up onto your pillow. And this is just going to give you a little bit more space for the hips to settle. If you can, make your way towards the front of the pillow and you'll feel the hips kind of tilt forward. Now this is where we can start to use our other props like our block. You might want to bring the forehead down to the block, turn the palms up. Some of us, to sit here, we're already going to feel it in the inner thighs and through the hips, so you'll stay, and this is totally fine as well. Some of us might bring the heart forward, place the hands onto the mat in front of us, and this too is perfect. So wherever you're feeling that first layer of resistance, this is where you'll stop and stay. And perhaps as you breathe and as you move, you'll lower a little further down as the 2 minutes goes on. But we have just a little over 30 more seconds here now. And seeing if you can really just allow separation between the shoulder blades, the back of the neck for these last few breaths. Soften through the upper back. One more deep breath in and out. And gently unfurling through the spine, making your way back up into seated. We're going to come into in yin, our dragonfly pose, so the legs will come out wide. Again, option to stay up on your pillow or down on the mat. Wherever you are, again, we're simply going to come forward. As you do, whether you've brought the hands all the way down, whether you're stretching out in front, I want you to continue to think about both thighs turning up. So both sets of toes are facing up. So we've still got that external rotation of the legs here. We also have a beautiful long lower spine, and it's our heart that leads us forward here. Maintain that length in the back of your neck. Obviously here we're going to be feeling the stretch underneath the legs in our hamstrings and our inner thighs as well. And wherever you've landed, you're going to stay here for 1 more minute. And checking in with the quality of your breath here. Is it slow and smooth? Or is it jagged? Checking in with your guide, your breath. It will take you into the right position. And 1 more deep breath in here. Letting go if you can on the exhalation. And gently walking the hands back towards your body. We're going to come into caterpillar now. So bringing the legs gently, slowly out in front of you. And this is our forward fold position. So from here, we can keep the knees as bent as we need. So you might want to keep sitting onto your pillow. Keep the knees nice and bent. And then simply rest over your thighs. Release the back of the neck. Release the shoulders here. Oop. As much as you can, again, we're keeping the thighs facing up. So there's a tendency when we kind of relax in our forward folds for the knees to fall out towards the side. But here, just trying to keep those legs nice and tight, inner thighs engaged. You might also want to take the pillow on top of your legs, bring your forehead onto a block. I'm just going to turn to face this way. We have 1 more minute here. Just that first layer of resistance, just really allowing the body and gravity to do the work here, so there's no pulling, there's no pushing. And just a few more breaths in our caterpillar pose. Let's take 1 more deep breath in together here. Exhale through the mouth, soften down any last bit you can, and gently rolling back up through the spine. Now we're going to come into our pigeon pose. So coming onto all fours. From here, we're simply going to slide our right knee forwards behind our right wrists, and then untuck the back toes. Now, if you are familiar with pigeon, feel free to go straight down. If you haven't done pigeon before, or if you have tight hips, I want you to take your block underneath your right hip or thigh. And so this is going to help you to keep the hips nice and square here. So keeping the top of the back foot down, keeping the thigh facing down, perhaps you stay here, and perhaps this is your pose. We're going to be feeling that right hip working, keeping a little bit of flexion from the toes back towards the knee. Or perhaps, if you're familiar, making your way all the way down. And in our pigeon pose, we're going to take 3 minutes on each side. So we've already stayed here for 1 minute. We're going to have 2 more in our pigeon on our right hand side. So again, choosing that option that is honest and feels good for your body. And a lot of the time we've seen and heard in pigeon that we need to have the shin parallel with the front edge of the mat. And that is just totally not true for so many of us. Some people have incredible external rotation through their hips, and that is wonderful for those people. The majority of us, we keep the heel in close to the body, and this is perfect. So if you have heard that, or you've been trying to aim for that, you might be endangering your knees or your hips more than you really need to. So just let go of that and just feel the pose in your hip. Have safe knees and just enjoy it. 1 more minute here. Last few deep breaths. One more deep breath in. And gently, slowly lifting the forehead, taking the hands down. We're going to draw up through the belly, shift the hips back, just make our way back onto all fours. You might want to move the hips from side to side. And if you're ready, you can start to make your way straight into pigeon on the left. So we're sliding our left knee forward behind the wrist, keeping that heel in as close as you need. Again, some of us might take a block underneath that left hip or thigh to keep the hips lifted and nice and square. Chest and shoulders facing towards the side or the front of your room. Take a moment here and then start to walk the hands forward. We can also make a little platform for the forehead with our thumbs here. or walk all the way forward. Enjoying these beautiful deep hip openers. And it can be really interesting to notice what might come up for you in our hip openers. In yoga, it's said that the hips are the seat of our souls, so they can carry a lot of emotions and a lot of words that have been left unsaid. So often when we move into these poses, just like pigeon, we can feel like we want to back away. We can feel something stirring and it might feel uncomfortable. So if you can move out of the pose a little bit and it can settle, that's good, stay there. But otherwise, can you just breathe into it? Use your breath as a tool to start to train yourself to be able to sit with something if it feels uncomfortable for you. To not necessarily have to run away, but to be able to sit in that. That's one of the magic tools that we learn in yoga, is to breathe into things that feel uncomfortable and stay with it. So just noticing any stories that might be coming up for you here, and we'll stay here for just 1 more minute. Last few deep breaths in here. And letting go of any last tension that you can, softening down completely. 1 more breath in all together. And exhaling, let it go. And slowly walking the hands back towards your body. From here, press away from the ground, draw the belly and the hips back. Make your way onto all fours. We'll just sway the hips from side to side until the hips come all the way to the right, and we're going to make our way back down onto our backs where we started. You again might want to take your pillow towards the back and come down, extending the palms facing up. And from here, we're going to come into our final pose, which is reclined butterfly. So we're going to bring the soles of the feet together and allow the knees to fall out nice and wide. Now just take a moment here, check in with your body and notice how this is feeling. For some of us, it might feel too much on the hip flexors and the inner thighs. And one little trick that I like to do, if we don't have any props, if you have pillows or blocks around you, you can simply take pillows to support underneath your thighs and lessen the stretch a little bit so that you can relax. But otherwise, we can make fists with our hands and kind of slide them to the outer edges of your hips. And then settle the shoulders away from your ears and feel probably a little bit of a broadening through your chest. And see if you can find a position for your hands that does just release that over tension through the groins and the inner thighs. And then once the hands are in a comfortable position, you might be able to release the fingers a little bit and relax, find some softness here. Otherwise, if you are comfortable, take your hands onto your belly. Our final pose, Supta Baddha Konasana. Just feeling the beautiful warmth of your hands on your belly. The energy, your life force, your warmth permeating through. And at the same time, feeling the miracle that is your beautiful body breathing without you needing to do anything. Your lungs, they breathe, your heart, it beats, your cells, they renew, your mind, it thinks. So perhaps taking a little moment here in gratitude to your body and everything that it does for you each day. All of those things that go unrecognized and unnoticed. Just giving them a little bit of attention and thanks here right now. And I'd like to invite you, if you have the time,